How's it going, guys? We're back with another video. This one's gonna be posted pretty early on because why not? Um, we have another win today, so it's looking good. We might have like a shift in momentum. We might break out of this win loss thing, and I say might because I really don't want to jinx anything. Um, but I don't have much to say. What can I say today? It's just a lovely day, at least where I'm from. And actually, I do have something to say. I'm posting a short after this video because the way this trade happened is pretty, like, I find it pretty nice. It took a long time. I thought I was gonna get stopped out. We have a lot of shift of emotions. I actually end up being edged of my full TP, and I have to leave, help my mom. Anyway, it's a full short, and I think it's pretty hilarious. So if you can, go ahead and take a look at it. It explains my thought process and what happened during this trade, and I just find it pretty nice. So without further ado, let's just get into the trade. Okay, so before New York Open 9:30, we are sweeping this all-time high on ES. This is now the new all-time high, although after that we came back down. But generally speaking, we are at an all-time high, period. We're like at 30,000 on Nasdaq, which is crazy. I remember back when it used to be like 25,000, and probably some of you even less than that. But to me it's crazy. Like I don't know what it means exactly. Probably we're doing good somewhere, right? Um, so yeah, we're at an all-time high. I'm looking at uh, jaws of liquidity to the downside because market has to come back down into retrace positions, or just a flip back bearish. And if we're already in a retrace position, I'm looking at either, well, again, if we're gonna flip fully bearish, or if we're gonna respect the retracement and come back up. And so before 9:30 we were coming back down. Not enough of a retrace in my opinion. Before 9:30 we had still some clean jaws of liquidity to the downside on both ES and on Nasdaq. Yeah, so as you can see, before 9:30 at this vertical line here, this is Nasdaq. ES, as always, we had this jaw liquidity, which was actually ran through completely, like Bonnie Blue, or sorry. Anyway, we have more draws of liquidity, however, like this one, and but I'm thinking about the logical ones for 9:30 all the way until 11. So in a 2 hour range. So yeah, let's look at it on a lower time frame to see better what happened. Okay, so let's start at what happened from 9:30 all the way until we actually started respecting jaws liquidity. So 9:30 opens and both indexes start. Well, actually, we had a few minutes of just ranging, of doing nothing on both indexes, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, on both indexes we're not so sure. And then we start dumping, and ES takes out all of these jaws of liquidity and stops at this one. I want to, like, for any beginners out there, I tend to say in my videos, this is an important jaw liquidity, this is an important jaw liquidity. I think I'm using the wrong, I'm not using a term. And this jaw liquidity right here, why is this jaw of liquidity important? And this, I think I got taught by it by PB Trading. This jaw liquidity is important because it's sitting in a gap. I think they call it an intermediate low, or if it was a high, it would be an intermediate high. I think that's what it is. So why is it important? Because people are resting their orders at this point right here. It has a lot of liquidity. I think they call it an intermediate high, high and low. I'm not 100% convinced, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Anyway, we dump and we eventually arrive to this draw liquidity on ES, and I think at this point Nasdaq was also starting to range. What did we reach on Nasdaq? We reached this draw liquidity, or even maybe this one. I think it's more important to look at it through ES. I think it's a clear draw liquidity on ES and not so clear on Nasdaq. But when one of them hit a strong draw liquidity, both indexes start reacting the same way. And here we start to range just a little bit for like 5 to 6 minutes. Yeah, and then we come back up. ES was actually very much more convinced for a bullish retrace than Nasdaq. Nasdaq was having a bit more difficulty. So what happens when we start reacting off this draw liquidity? I start noting out this 5-minute gap. Even this one here, but I erased it. On ES, I also do the same thing. I note out the draws of liquidity. I noted down this 5-minute gap right here, which we obviously didn't care about. And I think this gap right here is a 15-minute. Okay, so obviously you're looking at the market right here and you're saying, well, where the hell is ES reacting off of? Like, why is ES suddenly, why did we have a reaction here? Well, because Nasdaq was in a 5-minute gap. That's why you look at both. That's why I have both these screens. So we actually tapped into it, came back down into 1 minute, and it came back up. So I'm sure some people probably thought it was over. Once we came back down, we would probably go for shorts. Why can't you do that? Well, you have to wait for confirmation through this 1 minute gap. Obviously, if it was more convincing if I were around here and we still weren't reacting, then for me, yeah, I'm probably taking a short. But here we can still say we've reacted off this 1 minute. Although we're a little lower, it's still a reaction off the 1 minute. Back up, cleaner fill of the 5 minute, and here we start dumping a little bit more. And at this point, I'm like, well, I'm gonna wait for a 1-to-1. Around here is like a 1-to-1, I think. I seem to remember me saying I'm gonna wait for 1-to-1. Maybe I got late. Maybe I got a little later. Anyway, there's a short on it, so you'll see it better here. I think I have short-term memory loss at this point. Jeez, guy. At this point, I'm like, let's just get right into it. And I see a little bit of green, and then we start coming back up, and I'm like, oh, I have to show another loss to my YouTube channel after winning yesterday, and that is painful, but I don't get out of this trade. That's what's important. You keep looking at what could market be doing while you're in this trade. And I go on the 3 minute and I notice we actually formed a 3 minute gap. And I'm like, okay, if we don't respect this 3 minute gap, I am probably fucked. But we do. But now that I look at it, there's also a 1 minute here within the 3 minutes. It makes sense for market to want to go back up in there before dumping completely. And that's what happens. We start dumping completely. Market actually moved pretty cleanly from this point on to BE. Not much resistance. When I see that candle close here, it kind of shows to me that we're not reacting off of this draw liquidity, which makes sense because it was formed like at 9:47, which means there aren't many orders being made around here. I said, okay, I'm not going to take a TP. I'm not going to take a partial if we're not even slightly reacting off this BE. I'm going to go for full TP at this spot right here. And as you can see, yeah, this was painful. And I had to actually leave at this point to go help my mom. I noted down this 1 minute and then I left. And I came back in a pleasant surprise. Actually, one more thing, I took partials around here when I saw that we were climbing back up. I thought, well, maybe it's just a case of market inefficiency and I'm not going to get full TP. So I took partials. So I was going to have maybe $150 or $200 instead of zero, which made me $50 less than what I would have had if I didn't do that. So yeah, I haven't actually seen the live from it because I came back and it was around here during market time. It was like 10:38. I have to do that now, but that's pretty much it for my video on this trade. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Also, let me know if my chart is confusing. I'm trying to make it as less confusing as possible. It's really not that hard in my mind. Like, lines are just draws of liquidity, and rectangles are fair value gaps to take in consideration. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.